In this video, we'll learn how to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. When a quadratic equation cannot be solved by factorising, we can use the quadratic formula below. And the formula is given by x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, where the plus or minus comes from the fact that a number has two square roots. One is positive, one negative. Now, to use the formula, the equation must be of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So in other words, a is the number in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c is the number on its own. And we simply substitute them into the formula to get the answers. Okay, so here is an example. Use the quadratic formula to solve the equation x squared plus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, the quadratic is already in the correct form. So we have a equals 1 because 1x squared is the same as x squared. B is equal to 5 because 5 is in front of the x. And c is equal to 3. So if we substitute these into the formula, we get x equals minus 5, because b is 5, plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, minus 4, times 1 because a is 1, times 3 because c is 3, all over 2 times 1. Okay, so 5 squared is equal to 25, 4 times 1 times 3 is equal to 12, and 2 times 1 is equal to 2. So the next line is minus 5 plus or minus 20, the square root of 25 minus 12, all over 2. Okay. Now, 25 minus 12 is equal to 13, and because there are two square roots, a positive one and a negative one, we have two answers. So the first answer is x equals minus 5 plus root 13 over 2, and the second solution is x equals minus 5 minus root 13 over 2. And these can be entered into your calculator. So you first have to press the fraction button and then enter minus 5 plus root 13 on the top row before pressing the down button to enter 2 into the bottom row. Pressing the equals button will give you an answer of minus 0.697, correct to 3 decimal places. Note that on some calculators you might also need to press the S to D button after pressing equals to bring up the decimal. If we do the same thing with the second solution, minus 5 minus root 13 over 2, pop that into your calculator, you should get x equals minus 4.303, correct to 3 decimal places. Now it's your turn. Here is another example. Use the formula to solve this equation. 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. Follow the method from the last question shown here on the right hand side. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, here is the answer. Again, we substitute into the formula. So if a equals 2, b equals 7 and c equals 3, we have x equals minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times 3 all over 2 times 2. And since 7 squared is equal to 49, 4 times 2 times 3 is equal to 24, and 2 times 2 is equal to 4, the second line is minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 24 all over 4. Okay, now 49 minus 24 is equal to 25. So we have two solutions. The first one being x equals minus 7 plus the square root of 25 over 4. And the second one being minus 7 minus the square root of 25 over 4. And if we enter these each into the calculator, you'll get answers of x equals minus 1/2 or x equals minus 3. Okay, now on to an important point. When a, b or c are negative, put brackets around them. Let's see an example. So solve the equation x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. Give your answers to 2 decimal places. Right, pause the video now if you would like to have a go. As a hint, c is equal to minus 7, so put brackets around the minus 7. Okay, here is the answer. So if we put brackets around the minus 7, we have a equals 1, b equals 4, c equals minus 7. You will get x equals minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times, all in brackets, minus 7, all over 2 times 1. Right, so 4 squared is 16. 4 times 1 times minus 7 is minus 28, and 2 times 1 is 2, so we have minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 minus minus 28 all over 2. And because the 2 minuses here become plus, we have minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 28 all over 2. And so our 2 solutions are x equals minus 4 plus square root of 44 over 2, or x equals minus 4 minus the square root of 44 over 2, where the 44 comes from 16 plus 28 underneath the square root sign. Enter those into your calculator. You should get x equals 1.32 or negative 5.32, correct to 2 decimal places. Right, okay. Last one here for you to practice. It's a little bit different, but you also need to use the brackets again. Solve the equation x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. Pause the video and have a go. You can follow the right hand side. Okay, here is the answer. We'll do this by substituting a equals 1, b equals minus 8, and c equals 3 into the formula. Now, because b is negative, minus b is going to be positive, and so the minus b on the outside becomes positive 8. And underneath the square root, we must put brackets around the minus 8 before squaring it. This is because we need to square all of the minus 8, including the sign in front. Okay, so minus 8 squared is equal to 64. Since when you multiply two negatives, the answer is positive, and minus 8 times minus 8 is positive 64. And since 4 times 1 times 3 is 12, and 2 times 1 is 2, we have 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 12 over 2. Meaning that our 2 solutions are 8 plus root 52 over 2 and 8 minus root 52 over 2, where 52 comes from 64 minus 12. Enter those into your calculator. You should get 2 solutions, the first one being 7.61 and the second one being 0.39, correct to 2 decimal places.